thank you very much. I'm Tim and I'm the founder of Just Like Us. I'd like to ask you, what are the hardest words you've ever had to say? I love you? It's over? For me, for 15 years, I'm gay. And that's really at the heart of what Just Like Us wants to do. We want young people to grow up not feeling afraid or ashamed of who they are. We want a world, basically, where being gay is just as boring as being straight is. But why? Well, I thought it might be helpful to share a little bit of my story because it echoes so many of the stories we hear from the young people we work with. I pretty much knew I was gay when I started secondary school, but I knew one thing for certain. That was that being gay was rubbish. Maths was gay. And I also knew that I was meant to be good at rugby and dating girls. And obviously I didn't want to date girls. And I didn't play rugby. But I did play the flute, which is a gay instrument. And even worse, the piccolo, which is a really tiny gay instrument. So I felt I had a lot to do to hide the fact that I was gay. And all the time at school, that's what I did. I spent that time pretending to be somebody I wasn't, not letting people get to know me because I was worried if they did, they might see who I was, and that I would be ostracized. What it meant, though, that was when I did come out, it was uncontrolled. It was 10 years later, and I was very drunk, and I decided that was a great time to tell my best friend that I was gay. It didn't go very well, and I blank out. And the next thing I remember is walking down a street with my hand covered in blood, having smashed a shop window, and my phone was smashed and covered in blood. And that night, I contemplated ending it all because I thought that those friends that I'd found, that sense of belonging I thought I'd finally achieved, was gone. And sadly, for so many young people growing up, that's what they still experience. They suffer bullying, they change their educational plans, their well-being is not what it should be. But the good news is it doesn't have to be like that. And what changed it for me was meeting one person, a guy called Ben. Ben had gone to a northern grammar school like I was, but he's not a closet northerner as I am. He went to the same university, but he was different, because he was openly gay, and it was a really positive part of him in a way that I'd never imagined. And having that relatable role model gave me the confidence to come out. And when I did, all I wished was that I'd met Ben when I was 11 and not when I was 25. And that's what Just Like Us wants to do. We want to empower young people to be the role models for others, to be their Ben, so they hear from people who are just a little bit older and a little bit wiser. And how we go about doing that is we partner with university LGBT societies. This gives us a ready supply of 18 to 21-year-olds, many of whom have just come out. We then partner with employers to give these young people the skills and the confidence to go out there and share their message in talks and workshops. And when they become these LGBT superheroes, they will look to support those kids who identify as LGBT by addressing all those anxieties that I and so many others felt. But what they also do is get straight students to understand why this matters to them and what they can do to help people who might be struggling with their sexual orientation or gender identity. But we also want to give our ambassadors something, because it takes great courage. I thought I was going to have a heart attack the first time I did an assembly. And so we give them mentoring and support so that they can go out into the workplace and into the wider world as LGBT leaders. These are some of our courageous ambassadors from across the country. They're diverse, but all of them want to make sure that kids today have a better chance of being happy at school than they did. Since we launched in February 2016, we've trained over 100 ambassadors who've worked with 17,000 kids in our talks and workshops. We've been recognised with awards, but actually none of that matters, those numbers, if we're not actually changing the lives of those people. And we put monitoring and evaluation at the heart of what we do. We want to know that what we're doing is making a difference and how we can change and adapt to do more. We know that 85% of those young people are less likely to be homophobic following our work. And importantly, that nearly 90% get why it matters to everyone. And that means they're more likely to do those things that would have had that huge impact for me growing up. And we also hear directly from LGBT pupils, like this lesbian girl who talks about the impact it had on her confidence to feel that there were people out there. And teachers who repeatedly tell us that these are some of the most profound experiences they have, hearing young people talking about their vulnerabilities. So I'm here tonight to ask you to help us build on what we've done. We're looking for £6,000 to help us next year cover the costs of training and recruitment of 120 new ambassadors, and the cost to engage schools in our work. We know that we can make a huge difference, and we want you to help us make sure that every child who is LGBT at school has what they deserve: the chance to be happy, the chance to be themselves, and the chance to realise their potential. Thank you very much.